People sometimes tell scary stories, stories about haunted places, places where strange things happen, places that give you goosebumps. These places exist everywhere. Maybe there's one near you, a forgotten house, an empty hospital, or an old graveyard. What secrets do they hide? Let's find out. But be careful. You might not like what you find. On the edge of town stood a spooky building. It was the old Mercy Hospital, now empty and decaying. People said it was haunted. Inside, the air was cold and damp. Dust covered everything. Papers and medical tools lay scattered on the floor. A single flickering light bulb cast long, eerie shadows.
Foolish teenagers dared each other to go inside. They never stayed long. They said they heard whispers and felt cold hands touch them.
One night, a group of friends decided to visit the old abandoned hospital that everyone in town talked about. They wanted to prove the eerie stories wrong and show that there was nothing to be afraid of. With flashlights in hand, they walked through the dark, musty corridors, their footsteps echoing. Their nervous laughter echoed in the empty rooms, trying to mask their growing unease. Suddenly, they heard a blood-curdling scream that pierced the silence. It seemed to come from the old operating room at the end of the hall. They froze in place, their blood turning to ice as fear gripped them.
The scream came again, louder and closer this time, sending chills down their spines. They ran towards the sound, hearts pounding, determined to find the source. Adrenaline surged through their veins, pushing them forward despite their fear. But when they reached the room, it was completely empty. There was no sign of anyone or anything that could have made the noise, except for a single rusty scalpel lying ominously on a tray, as if waiting for them.
Section 4, the old graveyard. The friends left the hospital terrified. They never went back. The fear they felt was palpable, and it lingered in their minds. But their encounter led them to another haunted place, a place even more sinister and foreboding. The old graveyard behind the church. It was a place shrouded in mystery and darkness.
The graveyard was ancient. Its history was long forgotten, buried with the dead. The tombstones were cracked and covered in moss. Each one told a story of a lifelong past. Some had even crumbled, leaving the graves open. It was as if the earth itself had given up on holding them. The air was heavy with the scent of decay. A thick fog often rolled in, adding to the eerie atmosphere.
People said that on certain nights the spirits of the dead rose from their graves. They would appear as ghostly apparitions and roamed the graveyard, searching for peace. Their presence was felt by anyone who dared to enter. They were restless souls, forever trapped. Their stories untold, their peace never found. Section 5, the unseen hand. One foggy night, a group of friends decided to explore the old eerie graveyard. The air was thick with mist and the atmosphere was heavy with an unsettling silence. They walked among the ancient tombstones, reading the faded inscriptions that told stories of lives long past. Each step they took echoed in the stillness of the night. The fog was so dense that they could barely see a foot in front of them. It felt as if the mist was alive, wrapping around them like a shroud.
As they passed a particularly old and weathered grave, a cold, ghostly hand suddenly shot out from the ground, breaking the eerie silence. It grabbed the ankle of one of the friends with a vice-like grip, pulling her down with an unnatural force. She screamed in terror, but her voice was muffled by the thick fog, making it sound distant and haunting.
The others, in a state of panic, tried desperately to pull her back, their hands slipping in the dampness of the night. But the grip of the unseen hand was too strong, unyielding and relentless. They watched in horror as she was slowly dragged into the grave, disappearing into the darkness below, her cries fading into the night.
The haunted places, like the graveyard and the old abandoned house, remained unsolved mysteries, shrouded in fear and speculation. The stories of the abandoned hospital and the old graveyard continued to frighten people, passed down through generations as chilling tales of the unknown. A chilling reminder that some things are best left undisturbed, and that the past can sometimes reach out to touch the present in the most terrifying ways.